Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name is Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor, and in today's video I'm going to tell you how I think I've found the best place in the UK for you to invest. And before we get into it, I promise you I'm not just going to say where you live, although that might come into it. You might already live in the perfect location, in which case great, but I'm going to tell you what I think makes the perfect location to invest in properties in. And if you like this sort of content, please give this video a big like. It really does help me out with the algorithm. If you haven't already subscribed, why not consider subscribing? Every single month, we give our subscribers the chance to win our dividends out of our subscriber dividend portfolio. It's about 15 grand in there at the moment. It won't be long until we're paying out hundreds of pounds every single month, so don't miss out on your chance to be part of that journey. Let's get into what I think makes the best possible investing area in the UK. Now, first of all, let's preface where I invest. I've got about 15 properties in total. A lot of them are based around the Northamptonshire area and Sheffield. I've also got quite a few in Oxfordshire, and I've got one in London. And the one in London really was historic. It was my first house, it's where I lived. I then rented it out like so many people do when they start investing. And actually, in terms of a strategy, that might be the best way to get on the journey, right? It's a low deposit option. You don't have to have a huge deposit. You can buy with 5, 10, 15%, whereas with a buy-to-let, you're looking at 25%, and you can get started today. So for me, that was probably my best and first investment, because now, looking 15 years later, that looks like I was a genius. But let's pretend you've already owned your first home and you're now looking purely from an investment perspective. Where should you look? Now here's the key. It's wherever you can get an unfair advantage. And whether that is using southern wages to buy northern property, because there's a disparity between the prices of the property as well as the wages, or whether that is knowing an area better than somebody else, or whether that's having a friend in an estate agent, it's wherever you can get a competitive advantage. So let's run through a few of the ways that I've been able to get an unfair competitive advantage when it comes to buying property. And hopefully that'll give you some insights, and maybe you'll be able to emulate or change or adapt, and hopefully it will help you on your investing journey. So my first few property investments were in an area that I knew really, really well. I lived in a town called Didcot for a long, long period of my life, about 15, 20 years. I knew the town like the back of my hand, and I saw an opportunity that many didn't, and it was the fact that new build properties were being sold for less than second-hand stock. And that's just because the demand curve was so great for properties that if you could move in today, people were willing to pay a premium. And if you were going to buy a new build, then there was a discount. Now I know for a fact in the UK that is not replicated everywhere, which is where I saw an opportunity. And I ended up buying 2 new build properties, 2 4-beds, for a very significant discount on what they would have been if they were already built. So my property in Astor Close, I paid $350,000 for it. At the same time, they were selling completed properties for $400,000 on the second-hand market, a year old, 2 years old. And I just thought that was too big a discount for me not to go for that, even though I had to wait 2 years for completion. It was still going to be worthwhile doing. So I put down the deposit. I didn't even have the finance in place at the time. We had plenty of time to arrange mortgages and all the rest. 2-year completion time, and we got that secured. The second one we bought, that was a 4-bed, which is now a 6-bed. That became our home. So we bought that property as well in 2015. So that was the first time where I had an unfair advantage in that I knew the market really well. I was able to spot an opportunity that other people maybe didn't spot, and I was able to act upon it as quickly as possible. So speed is also key. Now the second time that I really managed to do this was when we were looking at investing in Northamptonshire and Sheffield, and I started working with a good friend of mine, Scott, and we started sourcing, renovating and renting out properties for ourselves as well as on other people's behalf. And we became experts in those areas. We got to know Northamptonshire, Wellingborough, Kettering, Corby really, really well. We got to know Sheffield really well, and we got to know the agents really well. So that gave us an unfair advantage. And even to this day, I've just bought another property up in Sheffield using my company Legacy, or a company that I own a small percentage in. It's not a huge percentage by any stretch of imagination, less than 25%, but I used that business, they sourced the property, they saved me probably £20,000 because they already had the relationship with the person that was selling the property. They were able to cut out the estate agent in that instance, and I got a great deal as a result of that. Guys, sorry to interrupt this video, but I wanted to give you this information and I promise it'll be no more than 15 seconds. If you want to have a free one-to-one consultation with me, a quick chat about anything at all you need to do is click the link in the description. It will give you a quick form, fill out your details, Tom will get in contact and book it into my calendar with me, then we can have a free consultation. I'm doing this for anybody who wants to talk to me until I get to 10,000 subscribers. So guys, let's get back to the video, but fill in the form, have a chat. So back to how we had the unfair advantage. Really, it was that we knew the area and the agents really, really well. So maybe you have a friend as an estate agent, maybe you know somebody in the industry, maybe you have a personal connection that means you get access to that phone call before anybody else. We just developed a reputation for buying. So if you came to us with a great deal, we bought it. And it was just as quick as that for the agent, as quick as that for the vendor. Now, if you came to us with an okay deal, we didn't buy it, so don't bother bringing those. And the market changes, and as the market changes, the best deals sort of evaporated. There were none. In 2021, 2022, I guess 2022 really sort of saw the end of any really good deals because the demand was so high and the sellers just weren't there. So there weren't these great deals. What there were at that time is great opportunities to buy great houses in great locations at okay prices. Now, even today, if you look at Northamptonshire, if you look at Sheffield, whereas some areas down south have suffered a little bit of price erosion, they really haven't. And the properties that we own in those areas are still going very, very well. In fact, as I said, I just bought another property up in Sheffield because I really believe that those areas are still very, very cheap compared with salaries. Even if you look at Sheffield, where you can still pick up a 3-bedroom house for sub 150 grand, sub 150,000 pounds. That represents excellent value for money when an average property in the UK is currently 279,000. So that for me is still a big opportunity. Sheffield, Northamptonshire, all those areas where you're still picking up average properties for below average prices. And the market hasn't really moved to the downside at all. And that's why they've got this insulation that they're still very, very affordable. You know, a mortgage of £100,000 that moves by 2 or 3% is only a couple of £100 a month more. Now, the same mortgage on £500,000 suddenly becomes £1,000 a month more and starts to become unaffordable. So those are the areas where people are getting hit hard. You know, even though I think about in Didcot, where a 4-bedroom house can cost you 400 to 500, you're putting a £300,000 mortgage, well, 3% difference, 4% difference on the mortgage rates right now. You're adding it up, it's £1,000 a month difference in the mortgage repayments. So that is a problem. So just to be really clear, for me, the best place to invest in the UK is where you have an unfair advantage and where you see opportunity. And I obviously don't have eyes everywhere, so I don't see every opportunity and I don't have an unfair advantage everywhere. I don't know Doncaster, for example. I don't know Liverpool at all. But the areas that we do know, we have an unfair advantage in that we know the areas well and where we're able to see opportunity and value. And I still see opportunity and value anywhere where you're buying a 3-bedroom house and unemployment's low and it's got good macros in those areas. For example, Sheffield's got excellent macros. If you look it up, the population's growing, the city's growing, unemployment's fairly low, wages are growing. There's lots and lots of big positives for Sheffield, including HS2, which is coming in. There's going to be a big hub there. There's lots and lots of benefits. So I think that, for example, that is an excellent location for me to be investing in. It might not be for you, because you might not know the areas and you might not have the same contacts that I do. But for me, that's an excellent place to be investing. So guys, why not let me know in the comments what your thoughts are to this? As I said, I'm not just going to say it's your hometown, because it might not be. For me, having southern wages and buying up north was a big advantage. Knowing the area was a big advantage. Buying lots of properties and getting well known in the area was a big advantage. So all of those things stacked together gave me an unfair advantage. And that meant that I was able to make more money than the average investor doing it in those locations. So guys, let me know your thoughts. As I said, like and subscribe as always, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Thank you so much, guys.